Lisa Johnson rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the screen again. The numbers didn't make sense. She had checked the equipment 3 times already, but the strange signal was still there. Something large was moving toward Earth from the outer solar system. "Hey, Frank, can you look at this?" She called to her colleague across the quiet control room of the Arizona Deep Space Monitoring Station. Frank Miller yawned and walked over. It was 3 a.m. and most of the staff had gone home. Only the night shift remained, monitoring the endless data streams from space. "What am I looking at?" Frank asked, leaning over her shoulder. "These objects," Lisa pointed to several blips on her screen. "They're moving too fast for asteroids and their trajectory is changing. That means they're under power." Frank's eyes widened. "Are you sure this isn't a glitch?" "I've run the diagnostics 3 times, Lisa said. "Whatever this is, it's real." By morning, observatories across the world confirmed Lisa's findings. 7 massive objects, each larger than an aircraft carrier, had entered the solar system and were accelerating toward Earth. 3 days later, Lisa sat in a crowded emergency meeting at NASA headquarters. Scientists, military officers, and government officials filled the room, their faces grim. "The objects will reach Earth orbit in approximately 2 weeks, the NASA director announced. "Based on their controlled movements, we believe they are alien vessels." A heavy silence fell over the room. "Have they tried to communicate?" someone asked. "Not yet," the director replied. "But we've been broadcasting greeting messages on all frequencies." Lisa looked down at her notes. The size of these ships suggested an advanced civilization. What did they want? Why were they coming to Earth? She didn't have to wonder long. The next day, as Lisa worked with a team analyzing the vessel's movements, all electronic devices on Earth received the same message simultaneously. The screens in the control room flickered, then displayed an image of a tall, humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large oval eyes. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, in perfect English. "I am Admiral Vorkath of the Orion Imperium. Your planet now stands at the edge of our territory. For 1,000 years we have brought order to the chaotic stars. 300 species now prosper under our rule." The alien's voice was calm but cold. "You have 2 options. Submit to the Imperium and enjoy the benefits of our protection, or resist and face extinction. You have 7 Earth days to decide." The message repeated in every known human language before the screens returned to normal. The world erupted in panic. Some people rioted in the streets. Others hid in bunkers or prayed in churches, mosques, and temples. World leaders held emergency meetings, but no one knew what to do. Lisa was called to the White House along with other top scientists and military officials. The president looked exhausted as they gathered in the Situation Room. "What are our options?" he asked. General Bobby Phillips of the U.S. Space Force stood up. "Sir, I believe we should at least try to defend ourselves." "With what?" The Secretary of Defense scoffed. "Their ships are enormous and they've crossed interstellar space. What could we possibly have that would threaten them?" "Maybe nothing," said a voice from the back of the room. A tall man in a Space Force uniform stepped forward. "But they don't know that for sure." Lisa recognized him as Commander Alan Wright, head of the Space Force's Special Projects Division. "Mr. President," Wright continued, 3 years ago, my team began developing a new weapon system based on gravitational manipulation. Project Thunderbolt isn't fully tested, but it works. It might be enough to show these aliens that conquering Earth would cost them too much." The president looked skeptical. "Why haven't I heard about this project before?" "It was classified above. Top secret," Wright replied. "Only 5 people knew about it until today." Lisa listened as Wright explained how Thunderbolt worked. It could create localized gravitational distortions, essentially small, controlled black holes that existed for just seconds before collapsing. "And you think this might work against their ship?" the president asked. "We won't know until we try," Wright admitted. "But I believe we should show them humanity won't surrender without a fight." After hours of debate, the president made his decision. Earth would not submit to the Orion Imperium. The next day, the alien ships moved closer, taking positions around Earth like a noose tightening. World militaries went on high alert, but conventional weapons seemed pointless against such Advanced technology. Lisa worked with Wright's team to analyze the alien vessels, looking for potential weaknesses. They set up a special lab at the Space Force base in Colorado. Their hulls appear to be made of some kind of metallic alloy we've never seen before, Lisa said, studying the scans. But they're generating enormous energy fields around their ships? Probably. Shields. Can Thunderbolt penetrate those shields? Asked Samantha Miller, the engineer who had designed the weapon. In theory, yes, Wright said. Gravity affects everything. No shield can block it completely. 4 days after the aliens' ultimatum, they sent another message. Your time to decide is running short. To help you understand the benefits of joining the Imperium, we will send a representative to your United Nations. The next morning, a small shuttle descended from one of the massive ships and landed in New York. From it emerged a single alien, taller than a human, with the same blue skin and large eyes as the Admiral in the message. The alien called himself Zell Theron, ambassador of the Orion Imperium. He appeared on global television, standing before the UN Security Council. I am surprised by your resistance, Zell Theron said. Most species understand the futility of opposing the Imperium. Those who join us voluntarily are treated well. Those who resist. He paused. They are eventually conquered anyway, but with much suffering. Meanwhile, at the Colorado base, Wright received an urgent call from the president. The ambassador has made it clear. They're not leaving without our submission, the president said. It's time to show them what we can do. Wright turned to his team. Prepare Thunderbolt for deployment. We're making our stand. Lisa looked at the alien ships on the monitor, her heart pounding. Humanity's future would be decided in the next few hours. The USS Defiant, a Space Force vessel secretly equipped with the Thunderbolt device, moved into position. Its captain, John Rivera, had simple orders. Demonstrate that humanity could hurt the Imperium. As Lisa and the others watched from the control room, the Defiant approached one of the smaller alien scout ships. The future of Earth hung in the balance. Captain John Rivera sat stiffly in the command chair of the USS Defiant. His palms were sweaty. The fate of humanity might rest on what happened in the next few minutes. Status report, he ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. The alien scout. Ship is holding position near Jupiter's orbit, sir. Lieutenant Kelly Adams replied from the tactical station. They're scanning us. Let them look, Rivera said. They won't find anything unusual. The Thunderbolt device was hidden deep within the ship's systems, disguised as standard equipment. Back on Earth, Commander Alan Wright paced nervously in the Colorado control room. Lisa Johnson and Samantha Miller watched the screen showing the Defiant's position relative to the alien vessel. The scout ship is twice our size, Lisa noted. Are we sure this will work? No, Wright admitted, but we're out of options. The president appeared on a secure video link. Commander Wright, you have authorization to proceed with the demonstration. Wright nodded and picked up the radio. Captain Rivera, you are cleared to engage. Good luck. The Defiant, Rivera took a deep breath. Take us closer to the target, nice and easy. The ship moved forward slowly. The alien scout made no aggressive moves, apparently curious about the small Earth vessel approaching it. They're broadcasting a message, Adams said. A voice filled the bridge, speaking accented English. Earth vessel, you are approaching an Imperium ship. Return to your planet immediately. Rivera ignored the warning. Distance to target? 10,000 kilometers and closing, sir. Prepare Thunderbolt. Set for minimum yield. Just enough to damage, not destroy. Samantha had insisted. On this approach, we need to show them we can hurt them, she had argued, but not reveal the full power of what we can do. 5,000 kilometers, Adams reported. The alien ship broadcast again, more urgently. Earth vessel, this is your final warning. Reverse course or be destroyed. They're charging weapons, Adams said, her voice tense. Now, Rivera ordered. Activate Thunderbolt. Engineer Paul Daniels pressed a sequence of buttons. The ship hummed as the device powered up. Thunderbolt active, sir. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself appeared to bend, between the Defiant and the alien vessel. A small dark sphere formed, no bigger than a basketball but infinitely dense. The gravitational distortion lasted only 3 seconds before collapsing. But those 3 seconds were enough. The alien ship's shields flared bright blue, then failed completely. The gravitational pull tore away a section of the ship's hull before the anomaly disappeared. "Direct hit," Adams exclaimed. "Their shields are down, and they've sustained significant damage to their port side." Rivera allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message." Adams opened a channel to the damaged alien ship. "Orion Imperium vessel. This was a demonstration of one of Earth's defensive capabilities. We have more powerful weapons ready if needed. Return to your fleet with this message. Earth will not submit." In the Colorado control room, the team erupted in cheers. Wright clasped Samantha's shoulder. "It worked." Lisa studied the readings. "The gravitational distortion was even stronger than we predicted. If we had used full power, we could have destroyed their ship completely," Samantha finished. The president's face showed both relief and concern. "This may buy us time, but they'll be back with more ships." At the United Nations, the meeting with Ambassador Zell Theron was interrupted by an aide who whispered urgently in the alien's ear. Zell Theron's large eyes widened, and for the first time he looked unsettled. "It seems," he said slowly, "that your species has some surprising capabilities." UN Secretary General Peter Collins stood tall. "We hope to avoid any conflict, Ambassador, but Earth will defend itself if necessary." "You have made a grave mistake," Zell Theron replied, his voice cold. "The Imperium does not tolerate resistance." He turned and left the chamber without another word. The Defiant returned to Earth orbit as a hero. News of the successful defense spread quickly, bringing hope to a frightened planet. But military leaders knew this was just the beginning. 2 days later, the alien ships began to move. 6 of the massive vessels positioned themselves in high Earth orbit, while the largest, the flagship, remained farther back. "They're being cautious now," Wright told the Emergency Council. "They know we can hurt them, so they're reassessing." "What's our next move?" the president asked. "We need to build more Thunderbolt devices," Samantha said. "As many as possible, as quickly as possible." Lisa had been analyzing the data from the encounter. "I don't think they expected resistance. From what the ambassador said, most species surrender immediately. So we surprised them," Wright nodded. "Good. Let's keep surprising them." The next morning, Admiral Vorkath himself appeared on all screens worldwide. His face showed no emotion, but his voice carried a new edge. "People of Earth," he began, "your demonstration has been noted. I admit we underestimated your technological advancement. However, this changes nothing. The Imperium has conquered species far more advanced than yours." He paused. "However, in recognition of your unexpected capabilities, I offer new terms. Submit to the Imperium, and your leaders may maintain limited autonomy. Your weapons technology will be studied and added to our own. Resist further, and we will have no choice but to eliminate your threat completely." After the broadcast ended, the president called another emergency meeting. "They're scared," Wright said. "They didn't expect us to have anything that could damage their ships. But they still outgun us by a massive margin," the defense secretary pointed out. As they debated their response, Lisa received an urgent message. An alien shuttle had landed without authorization near the Arizona monitoring station, where she had first detected the Imperium ships. Security footage showed a single alien emerging from the craft. Unlike the military aliens they had seen before, this one was smaller, wearing what looked like civilian clothes. Most surprisingly, the alien carried no visible weapons and had its hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. When security forces surrounded the alien, it spoke in perfect English. "My name is Krelvor. I am a scholar of the Imperium, and I bring information your people must know." The alien looked around nervously. "There is something about humans that terrifies our leaders. Something they haven't told you." Krelvor sat nervously in the small interrogation room at the Arizona facility. 4 armed guards stood by the walls, watching his every move. Across the table, Lisa Johnson studied the alien with equal parts curiosity and suspicion. "Why should we trust anything you say?" she asked. The alien scholar looked down at his six-fingered hands. "Because I believe what the Imperium is doing is wrong. I have studied many species across the galaxy. But humans," he looked up at Lisa. "Humans are different." Commander Wright entered the room with two officers. "Dr. Johnson, the President has authorized this meeting. I'll be taking over." "With respect, Commander," Lisa said, "I think my scientific background might be helpful here." Wright considered this, then nodded. "Very well, you can stay." He sat down across from Krelvor. "Our planet is surrounded by your warships. Why would an Imperium scholar risk coming here alone?" "Because I had to warn you," Krelvor replied. "The Imperium Council is debating whether to simply destroy your planet entirely." The room went silent. "They can do that?" Lisa asked quietly. "Yes. The flagship carries a planet-killer weapon. It has been used 3 times in our history." Krelvor's large eyes looked sad. "Always against species like yours?" "What do you mean, like ours?" Wright demanded. "Predator species," Krelvor said simply. "Most intelligent species the Imperium has encountered evolved from prey animals, herd creatures, foragers, or small omnivores. Their psychology is built around cooperation and avoiding conflict. And humans? You evolved from pursuit predators. You hunted in groups, yes, but you are fundamentally hunters. Your eyes face forward for depth perception. Your teeth are designed for both plant matter and meat. Your bodies evolved to chase prey to exhaustion." Lisa leaned forward. "And this matters because it shapes how you think." Krelvor tapped his head. "I've studied your history. You fight wars but then make peace. You compete fiercely, but also build cooperative systems. You can be violent, but also deeply compassionate. You think like predators, strategically, always, looking for advantage." Wright frowned. "Every species must have conflict." "Not like humans," Krelvor insisted. "Most species in the Imperium have had maybe 1 or 2 global wars in their entire history. Humans have had thousands of wars just in your recorded history." "That doesn't sound like a compliment," Lisa said. "It's not. But it does make you very dangerous." Krelvor pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. It projected a graph in the air. "This is the Imperium's standard model for technological development." The line showed a slow, steady climb upward. "And this," he said, adding a second line, "is Earth." The new line started much lower but rose at a steeper angle, eventually crossing the first line and shooting upward dramatically. "Our models predict that if humans survive this encounter, you will technologically surpass the Imperium within 300 years. Within 500 years, you would dominate the galaxy." Lisa stared at the projection. "That can't be right. We've only had electricity for about 200 years. "Exactly," Krelvor said. "Most species take thousands of years to make the same advances you've made in centuries. Your rapid development, combined with your predator psychology, makes the Imperium leaders see you as an existential threat." Meanwhile, on the Imperium flagship, Admiral Vorkath faced the holographic images of the High Council. "The humans have gravity manipulation technology," he reported. "They damaged one of our scout ships." High Counselor Zextan's image flickered. "Impossible. Their civilization is too young." "Nevertheless, it happened," Vorkath replied. "I've consulted with military commander Zax Tool, and we believe the humans might be one of the predator species mentioned in the ancient warnings." The council members murmured nervously. "If that is true," Counselor Mithven said, "our standard protocols are clear. The planet must be sterilized immediately." "I advise caution," Vorkath said. "If they are indeed a predator species, they may have other weapons we haven't seen. The gravity weapon was carefully calibrated. They deliberately avoided destroying our ship when they could have. They're showing restraint to hide their true capabilities," Zaxtal growled. "A classic predator tactic." Back on Earth, Wright had brought Krelvor to meet with Susan Parker, a historian from Georgetown University. They sat in a secure room at the Pentagon, surrounded by books and digital records of human history. "If what you're saying is true," Susan said, "why has the Imperium even offered terms? Why not just destroy Earth immediately?" "Because not everyone agrees with the military assessment," Krelvor explained. "Some of us believe we should try to work with predator species, not exterminate them. And..." He hesitated. "There's something else." He pulled out his device again and showed them ancient text. "According to our oldest records, the founders of the Imperium might have been running from something, possibly another predator species that dominated the galaxy before them." Susan's eyes widened. "Are you saying there might be other species, like us out there?" "If there were, the Imperium destroyed them," Krelvor said. "Our history mentions 3 other worlds that were completely eliminated for being dangerously aggressive, but the records suggest each nearly defeated the Imperium before being destroyed." Wright stood up and paced the room. "Why are you telling us this? What do you want from us?" "I want to prevent another genocide," Krelvor said simply. "And," he looked uncertain, "I want to study you. Humans fascinate me. You're violent, yes, but also capable of great kindness. You fight among yourselves but unite against outside threats. You're unlike any species I've ever studied." Lisa, who had been quiet, spoke up. "You said their flagship has a planet killer weapon. How does it work?" Krelvor looked surprised by the question. "It creates a cascading reaction in a planet's core, essentially causing it to tear itself apart from the inside." "And how is it deployed?" Wright asked, catching Lisa's line of thinking. "The flagship must move into close orbit and open 4 gravitational focus points on its hull. The process takes approximately 6 hours to..." Krelvor stopped suddenly, realizing what they were asking. "You're looking for weaknesses." "Of course we are," Lisa said. "You just told us they're debating whether to destroy our planet." Krelvor was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed. "During those 6 hours, the ship's main shields must be lowered to allow the gravitational fields to form properly. The focus points are the most vulnerable parts of the ship during that time." Wright immediately stood up. "I need to report this to the President." He looked at Krelvor. "Thank you for this information. Whatever happens, remember that you tried to help." As Wright left the room, Susan turned to Krelvor. "You've betrayed your people to help us. Why?" The alien scholar looked tired. "Because I believe all intelligent life deserves a chance to exist, even predators." He looked up at the humans, especially ones with such potential for both destruction and creation. Outside the meeting room, Wright spoke urgently into his secure phone. "Mr. President, we have critical intelligence about the Imperium flagship. And sir, I think we need to prepare for the possibility that they might attempt to destroy Earth completely." The world changed overnight. 24 hours after Krelvor's warning, the Imperium attacked. Their ships rained energy beams down on military bases, power plants, and communication centers across the globe. Millions died in the first wave. "Commander," Wright stood in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility shook with each nearby impact. "Status report," he demanded, his voice hoarse from shouting orders. "We've lost contact with most of Europe and East Asia," a young officer reported. "The Space Force base in Nevada was completely destroyed. What about our Thunderbolt platforms? 3 are still operational. They've managed to take down 2 smaller Imperium vessels, but the main ships are staying out of range." Wright slammed, his fist on the table. They needed a new plan fast. The door to the command center opened, and Lisa Johnson entered with Samantha Miller. "Commander," Lisa said urgently, "we have an idea." While Earth burned, Admiral Vorkath watched from the bridge of his flagship. The humans were fighting back better than expected. Their primitive missiles couldn't penetrate Imperium shields, but their new gravity weapons had already destroyed 2 light cruisers. "The human resistance is stronger than anticipated," his second-in-command observed. "Yes," Vorkath agreed. "Military." Commander Zach's tool was right. "They are dangerous." He turned to his weapons officer. "Begin preparations for the planet killer. We cannot allow this predator species to survive." Deep in the Pentagon's most secure level, Krelvor worked frantically with Susan Parker. They had been given access to ancient Imperium records found on the alien's personal device. "Look at this." Susan pointed to a translated section of text. It mentioned something called the synchronization frequency. Krelvor's eyes widened. "That's the communication backbone of our fleet. All ships must synchronize to the flagship's central frequency to coordinate actions." "Can it be disrupted?" Susan asked. "Theoretically, yes, but you would need to know the exact frequency pattern." Krelvor hesitated, then made a decision. He tapped rapidly on his device. "This is treason against the Imperium, but I cannot watch another species be exterminated." At the Space Force launch facility in Wyoming, Captain John Rivera prepared for what would likely be his final mission. His ship, the USS Defiant, had been fitted with an enhanced Thunderbolt device. Samantha Miller stood before him, explaining the modifications. "We've increased the power by 400%, she said. "But there's a catch. It will overload your reactor. Once activated, you'll have maybe 5 minutes before the ship explodes." Rivera nodded. "A suicide mission, then?" "Yes," Samantha said quietly. "But if you can position the Defiant near the flagship when they open their gravitational focus points, the explosion will be magnified through their own system." "Enough to destroy their flagship?" "We believe so." Rivera took a deep breath. "I'll need volunteers." "You already have them." Engineer Paul Daniels stepped forward with 5 other crew members. "We've all signed up." Rivera looked at his brave crew, his throat tight with emotion. "Let's make it count, then." Meanwhile, Lisa Johnson worked with Krelvor's frequency data. They had determined that a specific pattern of pulses could temporarily disrupt the Imperium's communication network, potentially creating confusion among their fleet. "We're broadcasting the disruptive signal now," she told Wright over the secure line. "It should give Captain Rivera the window he needs." In orbit, the massive Imperium flagship moved into position. 4 sections of its hull began to open, revealing complex machinery that glowed with an eerie blue light. "Planet killer activation commenced," reported Vorkath's weapons officer. "Estimated time to firing: 6 hours." Suddenly the ship's lights flickered. Alarms blared across the bridge. "What's happening?" Vorkath demanded. "Communication disruption. We're losing coordination with the fleet." On Earth, Wright watched satellite imagery of the confused alien fleet. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation now drifted aimlessly, some nearly colliding with each other. "It's working," he breathed. "Launch the Defiant now." The small, Earth vessel shot upward through the atmosphere, accelerating toward the Imperium flagship. Inside, Captain Rivera and his crew worked calmly, despite knowing they would not return. "Enemy vessels are regaining coordination," Lieutenant Adams reported. "We have maybe 20 minutes before their systems fully recover." "That's all we need," Rivera said grimly. "How long until we reach the flagship?" 15 minutes at current speed." Rivera studied the tactical display. Several Imperium ships had noticed them and were moving to intercept. Evasive maneuvers. "Let's make this count." The Defiant weaved through enemy fire, taking hits but pressing forward. 2 crew members were killed when a beam struck the lower deck. The ship's systems began to fail. "Engine damage at 60%, Daniels reported from engineering. "We're losing speed." "Reroute all power, including life support if necessary," Rivera ordered. "We only need to get close enough." As the Defiant approached the flagship, they could see the 4 glowing points on its hull, the gravitational focus points Krelvor had described. "They've spotted us," Adams called out. "They're trying to close the focus points." "Too late," Rivera said. He turned to Daniels. "Activate Thunderbolt at maximum power. Target the nearest focus point." Daniels nodded and entered the commands. "Thunderbolt active. Reactor overload in progress." The ship shuddered as the enhanced gravitational device came online. A small black sphere formed between the Defiant and the flagship, rapidly growing in size and power. On the flagship's bridge, alarms screamed as sensors detected the anomaly. "Gravitational distortion," an officer shouted. "It's interfering with the planet killer." Vorkath watched in horror as the distortion touched one of the exposed focus points. Close the focus points. Abort the firing sequence. We can't. The systems are locked. On the Defiant, Rivera watched the flagship through the view screen. The gravitational anomaly was now pulling the giant ship apart, starting with the vulnerable focus point. It's working, he said quietly. He looked at his remaining crew. It's been an honor serving with you all. Reactor critical, Daniels called. 30 seconds. As the Defiant's reactor reached the breaking point, the gravitational anomaly reached its maximum size. When the Earth ship exploded, the blast was magnified 100-fold by the black hole-like phenomenon they had created. The Imperium flagship broke apart, its own planet-killer energy turning inward and consuming the ship from within. The explosion was visible from Earth, a new bright star briefly appearing in the daytime sky. In the command center, Wright watched the satellite feed with Lisa and Samantha. They did it, Samantha whispered. They actually did it. But their victory was tempered by grief. The Defiant and its brave crew were gone, along with millions of others who had died in the attack. What now? Lisa asked. There are still 5 Imperium capital ships in orbit. Wright studied the tactical display. Without their flagship and command structure, the remaining alien vessels seemed disorganized. Now, he said, we push them back. 3 days after the destruction of the Imperium flagship, Earth launched its counterattack. Thunderbolt devices had been rapidly produced and installed on every available aircraft and spacecraft. The remaining 5 Imperium capital ships, still disorganized without their central command, found themselves under attack from all sides. Commander Wright coordinated the global effort from the underground command center. Lisa Johnson and Samantha Miller worked alongside him, using Krelvor's knowledge to predict Imperium tactics. They're falling back to a defensive formation near the moon, Lisa reported, studying the tactical display. Good, Wright said. Keep pushing them. Don't let them regroup. On the largest remaining Imperium vessel, Subcommander Trelvac had assumed command of the fleet. He stared at the sensor readings in disbelief. The humans were attacking with surprising coordination and effectiveness. We've lost 2 more ships, his tactical officer reported. The rest are reporting heavy damage. How is this possible? Trelvac demanded. They are a primitive species. Sir, they're using our own communication frequency patterns against us. They're predicting our movements before we make them. Trelvac slammed his fist on the command console. The scholar betrayed us. Krelvor must have given them our tactical data. At the Pentagon, Krelvor and Susan Parker continued analyzing the alien records. The historian had discovered something important in the ancient texts. Look at this. Susan pointed to a translated section. It mentions warning markers that the Imperium places in systems near worlds they've destroyed. Krelvor nodded. Yes, after eliminating a dangerous species, the Imperium leaves gravitational anomalies formatted with warning messages in nearby systems. They're designed to last for thousands of years. Like beware of dog signs, Susan said. Krelvor looked confused. It's a human thing, she explained. We put up signs warning others about dangerous animals on our property. Ah, the alien scholar said, understanding. Yes, exactly like that. The Imperium wants other species to know why these worlds were destroyed. This gave Susan an idea. She immediately contacted Wright. In orbit, Earth forces continued to push the Imperium ships back. Space Force vessels, though smaller and less powerful, swarmed the alien ships like angry bees. Each time an Imperium vessel attempted to target one Earth ship, 3 more attacked from different angles. They fight like predators, Trelvac observed. No concern for losses, only for the kill. His second-in-command looked worried. Sir, we've lost contact with the Ventar and the Croesus. We're down to 3 ships, all damaged. Trelvac made a difficult decision. Prepare to withdraw beyond this system's outer planets. We need to regroup and contact the Imperium High Council. As the remaining Imperium ships retreated past Mars, Engineer Paul Daniels' voice came over the command center speakers. Wright had been shocked to learn that Daniels had survived, having left the Defiant at the last minute in an escape pod. "Commander," Daniels said, "we've adapted the Thunderbolt technology as Dr. Parker suggested. We're ready to broadcast." "Do it," Wright ordered. From Earth's surface, a modified Thunderbolt device activated. Instead of creating a destructive gravitational anomaly, this one generated a carefully structured pattern, a message encoded in gravitational waves that would spread throughout the solar system and beyond. In his ship, Trelvac detected the strange transmission. "What are they doing now?" His science officer analyzed the pattern. "Sir, they're creating a warning marker like ours." "What does it say?" Trelvac demanded. The science officer looked up, his expression troubled. "It says, 'Beware the humans.' Of Earth, they did not submit when threatened. They fought back, and they won." 5 years passed. Earth had begun to rebuild after the devastating attack. Using salvaged Imperium technology, humans made rapid advances in gravitational physics, faster than light travel, and energy production. Lisa Johnson, now director of the new Global Space Agency, stood on the observation deck of the Earth's first true starship. The USS Rivera was nearly complete, its sleek hull gleaming in the morning sunlight. "It's beautiful," said Samantha Miller, who had designed much of the ship's propulsion system. "Captain Rivera would have been proud," Lisa agreed. Commander Wright, now General Wright, joined them at the window. "The maiden voyage is scheduled for next month. We'll be visiting Alpha Centauri first." "Any sign of the Imperium?" Samantha asked. "None. According to Krelvor, they're maintaining a 10-light-year exclusion zone around our solar system." Krelvor had chosen to remain on Earth, becoming humanity's first ambassador from another world. More importantly, he had become a friend and valuable ally, helping humans understand the wider galaxy they were about to enter. Susan Parker had worked with him to establish an academy for interspecies relations. "We need to understand who's out there before we meet them," she had argued. The world's governments had quickly agreed. In the academy's main hall, Krelvor addressed a class of aspiring human diplomats. "The Imperium still views Earth as a dangerous world," he explained. "But they respect strength. By defending yourselves, you've earned a place in the galactic community, even if it's as a feared outsider." One student raised her hand. "Will they attack again?" "Perhaps someday," Krelvor admitted. "But not soon. The Imperium moves slowly, taking centuries to make major decisions. By the time they might consider attacking Earth again, humanity will be far more advanced." After class, Krelvor walked with Susan through the academy gardens. "Have you heard from your people?" she asked. "No," he said quietly. "By helping Earth, I became a traitor to the Imperium. But I don't regret my choice." "What do you think will happen when we start exploring beyond our solar system?" Krelvor looked up at the stars appearing in the evening sky. "Other species will be wary at first. The warning markers we created ensure that everyone will know about Earth. But that's not necessarily bad, because they'll leave us alone out of fear?" "Partly," he agreed. "But also because fear often leads to respect, and respect can eventually lead to understanding." As night fell completely, they could see the new orbital shipyards where 3 more starships were under construction. Earth was preparing to take its place among the stars. Somewhere out there, Imperium ships patrolled the borders of their territory, keeping a cautious distance from the solar system, where they had received their most surprising defeat. And throughout nearby star systems, gravitational anomalies carried humanity's message to any who could detect them. Beware the humans of Earth. They did not submit when threatened. They fought back, and they won. The warning that was meant to isolate Earth instead became humanity's introduction to the galaxy, a reputation that preceded them as they stepped onto the cosmic stage, ready to forge their own path among the stars.